Hello, just 2 more minutes and then we'll start. Okay, so guys, we can start. Everyone else will join us later on. One thing you can do is to turn on your captions if you want to. But we will upload this later on YouTube and social media channels. So we'll cut it into different pieces and upload on social media for everyone who cannot be here today. So the agenda will be as follows. We'll start with an introduction of Qiesto. That will be done by Mr. Femi Longe, our CEO. And then we will introduce our guest for today, who is Crystal Chigbo. I hope I pronounced it properly. So Crystal is from the Irede Foundation. They're the ones who are helping us run this challenge. So she'll tell us a bit about the foundation and what they do. And then we'll go to the Qiesto side of the story, why we chose to work with the Irede Foundation on our very first challenge, and how that is important to the young people that we are serving. And then we'll go to the questions. So the people are in this call. Some of you are actually participating in the challenge. If you are not, you can also still ask questions. So there'll be a time for you to be able to write on the chat your questions, and then one of my teammates or workmates will help us look at them, and that will be Wamboga. Yeah. So, Femi, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Let me just share my presentation, very short. And maybe I'll start by thanking everybody for coming on today. Thank you, Qiesto from Irede Foundation, everyone who's joining this. Can you see my screen? Can you see my slide?
Yes, you can see it.
Okay. So the challenge we currently launched. So our company is called Qiesto, and what we exist to do is to see how we can help young people in Africa get access to opportunities that can help them build a better life. The main driver for us is the dismal statistics around youth employment in Africa, and understanding that young people need access to opportunities where they can use their skills and have evidence of what they can do. And so, as an organization, what we do is from time to time, we organize challenges, which is practical projects that young people can work on for existing organizations that add value to those organizations, but also give the young people the opportunity to test their skills and competencies. And like Fiona said, the first of these is the Irede Challenge. So in terms of a platform, our focus is give you opportunities to use what you can do, and then give you opportunities to showcase that in a way that can get you into jobs. What our missions are, our challenge, like the one we're running right now, they're all project based. They have a concrete outcome, and you can do it from wherever you are in the world. Can I ask, if you're not speaking right now, if you can just mute your mic. Okay. So how the missions work are pretty simple. The organization has created a mission. Young people can form teams to tackle the mission. After the mission is completed, there'll be a very quick review, and the best solutions will get awarded prizes. But if your solution reaches a certain quality level, you're still allowed to add that experience to yourself in your resume, in your CV. And at the moment, there are 4 areas around which we're doing challenges. So one of them is around market insight, which is the one that we're running with the Irede Challenge. Some of them are product development, product design challenges, or marketing challenges. So that's all in a nutshell. I think the reason for this call is around the disability and COVID-19 challenge, which we're running together with the Irede Foundation, founded by my very good friend, Crystal. So maybe we'll ask. So that's it from me. I'm still on the call. I'll still have opportunities to talk more if people have questions on what we do at Qiesto. But I think it's more interesting for us now if we can hear from Crystal and the Irede Foundation and find out what they do, and why we're having this conversation today. Crystal.
Thank you very much, Femi. And thank you, Fiona. Nice seeing you in person. So,
Crystal, if you could turn on video, it'd be good.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll adjust that. Okay, so Irede Foundation started 8 years ago now, so in 2012, and it started as a result of my personal story. I gave birth to a daughter with congenital deformity, and we were told when she was about 6 days old that we needed to amputate the limb. It took us 2 years and 3 months to have the amputation done. But and I think the process actually took that long because also at the time, there was no one in Nigeria that could share with us how they had amputated a child or had the same challenge. So people were generally not talking about it. And I think it's still fairly the same thing today, because people hardly talk about disability. Disability is seen as a taboo. Disability is like, you know, that thing, the stigmatization and discrimination that goes with it is still really very high. So afterwards, she had an amputation, and then she started using prosthetic limb. And really, for me at that time, I wanted to be able to share my experiences and just really talk to people on how I had coped through the process. And that's how the Irede Foundation was birthed. And the idea behind the foundation is to actually raise champions out of children that have been amputated for whatever reason. Either they were born with a congenital issue like that of my daughter, or as a result of trauma, accidents, cancer, call it whatever, they have to go through amputation. So we do three major things. The first thing that we do is we create awareness. And again, that's where the work that Qiesto is doing with us at this time is so, so important. We create a lot of awareness with the general public to ensure that the persons with disabilities are going through and how to manage the entire process. This, we believe, will help us reduce to the barest minimum societal stigmatization. Because when you understand someone's situation and what they are going through and how, you know, they struggle to navigate and the challenges they are going through, it's kind of easier to understand the process and not discriminate and not stigmatize. So basically, that's what we do with our education program. And linked to that also, we have an annual walk called Out on a Limb. Before COVID-19, Out on a Limb happened, you know, physically across different geographical locations on the same day. And before now, we would have the walk in, say, 20 to 30 locations around the world. But this year, we couldn't hold the walk physically because of social distancing, and of course, because of the pandemic. And you know, we're yet to even come up with what we really want to do. The second thing we do at the foundation is what we call encourage. And for us, encourage is providing support and care for the parents of the children with disabilities, being able to be in their shoes and help share with them experiences that will help them raise children that will be champions at the end of the day. For that, we also people that have gone through amputation, or even stakeholders within the sector, to come talk to the caregivers and the parents of the children with disabilities to help them know how to help their children grow. And then the third thing we do is we provide artificial limbs for those that cannot afford it. And we've done this over the last 8 years. We've provided over 150 limbs for children across Nigeria. However, with the pandemic, one of the things that we realized is it goes beyond just providing limbs. And upper limb amputees, we realized during the pandemic that they are unable to cope. They couldn't even do the basic things of washing of hands or you know, using a hand sanitizer, because they either have one hand or no hands at all. And that really opened our eyes to more challenges that persons with disabilities in a whole. And so not just amputees now, but even persons with disabilities in general are going through because of the pandemic. We realized that most of them could not even access basic things like palliatives because they can't, you know, get out in the crowd and be able to queue. I'm sure that there are so many more challenges that they are going through that probably we have not even identified because we are not reaching out to them and we are not talking to them like we should. And that's where Qiesto came in to help us navigate through this and ensure that we're able to gather data and information from persons with disabilities so that we can in turn change their lives and basically transform they are living, so that we can help the government make the right decisions when it comes to persons with disabilities, so that they can live fulfilled lives in spite of whatever disabilities that they are going through. So our goal, hopefully, is to be able to have enough information to transform the lives of persons with disabilities. I'm sure we also know that persons with disabilities are very vulnerable. They are usually the ones that are vulnerable when it comes to sexual violence, because and domestic violence, because they really can't fend for themselves at the time. And because of their disabilities, they are looked at like they don't have any form of abilities at all. In Nigeria, most persons with disabilities are not allowed to go through mainstream education. So some of the children cannot even access education at all, because the special schools are very expensive and they are tailored, to the needs of a few. And as a result of that, people with different forms of disabilities are put together in the same room, and there's no special care that is given to them. At the Irede Foundation, we look forward to being able to raise an industry where we not just only provide limbs, but are able to provide data, information for people to really be able to make informed decisions at the end of the day. Thank you. Thank you, Femi. Thank you, Fiona.
Thank you, Crystal. So now I want to hear from Femi on your perspective and why you felt compelled to work with Qiesto.
Before I speak, I think I have a few questions for Crystal, and I expect you to have questions, because the work you do is quite interesting. And like I said before, we're friends, so I know your daughter, Beulah, who was amputated. Tell us a bit about Beulah. She's Irede, right?
Yes, she's Irede. Of course, the name of the foundation. Yeah. Yes, the name of the foundation actually came from her name. Her name is Ireoluwade, meaning the goodness of God has come. So Beulah is a very interesting and unique child. She can do virtually everything that everybody else can do. She runs, she swims. She swims very competitively. She rides a bicycle. Nothing really stops her. And I think that majorly came from, not focusing on the inabilities that one has, but focusing on the abilities that, an individual has. So nothing can stop her at all. We've helped her work on her mindset. And also that's one of the things we do at the foundation, work on the mindset of all the kids that, come through the foundation, to ensure that they can withstand whatever pressure life brings to them. Beulah wants to be a model. So not having a leg is not stopping her from focusing on her modeling goals. I don't know if there's anything else you want to know about Beulah. She's 11 years old, and she probably yes. Oh, she used to. Okay. She stopped. But she had major foundation in that when she was much younger, and then as she grew older, I think she had other interests, and she just moved on to her interest, basically.
So I know we're currently gathering data on people with disabilities across Africa, but from what I hear, your foundation primarily works in Nigeria. Do you have any connections with the extended community that works with people with disabilities across Africa? And how do you use the data that we gather?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we only work in Nigeria for now, but we have a couple of other organizations in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, mostly in Western Africa, and a few East African countries, working with other people. So the intention really is to be able to empower persons with disability across. Intending to go into every cranny of Africa, but we believe that with the data that we gather across Africa, we'll be able to make decisions, or to provide the government, be able to provide relevant stakeholders with the necessary information that they need to be able to make decisions for persons with disability. We believe also that the data will be able to equip even persons with disabilities themselves to be able to live life and, you know, mitigate against whatever issues that might want to come up. So I believe that after we gather all the data that we gather, we'll be able to compare notes on what's happening across and look at the trend of things and see what change we can make happen everywhere.
And again, in similar vein, the bulk of your work is the people with limb who have amputees, correct?
Yes.
Do you have any engagements with organizations that work with people with other disabilities too?
Oh, definitely.
So think about how that data would also be made open so that other organizations can use the output for their own arguments and advocacy work.
So currently, we have interactions and partnerships with the CP community, that's cerebral palsy, with Down syndrome community, with the blind, with the deaf community, and across autism. So we work very closely with Patrick's on the work that they're doing with autism, and also we have some people that work with ADDH, and we work very closely with them. So for me, just like you rightly said, Femi, it's not going to be data just for Irede Foundation. It's going to be for the entire community to be able to make change happen. Even though we focus on physical disabilities and amputations specifically, we work in partnership, with different people. Currently, we're even working with the albinoism community and the blind, because we are doing some work with Disability Rights Funds, and seeing how we can work on the disability of the funds to be able to make change happen for persons with disability. We currently also work with JONAPED. JONAPED in Nigeria is Joint Association of Persons with Disabilities and their organization. So very much the data is going to be relevant for all of these stakeholders. Yeah.
What did you do before the foundation? What's your background? Out of curiosity.
I'm a salesperson. I worked with Procter & Gamble for 13 years as a salesperson. I did direct selling. After doing direct selling for a bit, I did back office support, providing back office support for distributors and people that were selling. Then I moved assignments into marketing and did a bit of marketing for about 1 year. Learning that as a tool to come back into the sales team to be able to sell better, understanding brand marketing. Then I did a little bit of e-commerce also. But generally, I stayed within the sales and business development team, helping, make distributors sell better. So that's what I did for 13 years before I left to start off the foundation.
It's great to know. I knew your background, but I thought it was useful for other people to know. What skills, what competencies do you see that people will have to use to effectively deliver something in this challenge? Because for us as Qiesto, we're very keen that the challenge itself is solving a real problem, and it's interesting to understand the challenges that people with disabilities face, because it's very easily most of us actually forget that they exist. So what skills? So we're very particular about solving that problem, but we're also particular about solving that problem while simultaneously solving the problem of skills and jobs for young people. So what skills do you see that young people will use in delivering the Qiesto challenge?
Okay, so I'm going to talk skills, and I'm going to also talk about what I will probably put under efficiency, quotient, and attitude. So let me talk skill first. The first skill, and I'm a salesperson, is you need to be able to sell. You need to be able to understand why I should give you the data, why I should, be able to relate with you. I think that's really very key. It goes beyond just walking up to someone and saying, give me this data, I need this data or whatever. So you need to be able to sell even the advantages of gathering the data to the people you want to collect the data from. And when I think from the quotient angle, and I'm thinking of the kind of attitude you need to have, I would say that you need to also have empathy and what some people call emotional intelligence, because you need to be able to put yourself also in the shoes of the people with a disability and let them realize that you understand them, you literally can feel them. So it's not pity, it's not sympathy, it's more empathy. It's being able to feel into that shoes, get the information that you need, and then let them understand that you really feel them. And that's really very important, especially when you think of the disability community, because already, the disability community is seen like, they feel like, and I use the word very carefully, they feel like, they are seen as them versus us. So you need to show that you're different and this is for their good. You need to be able to explain that to them. You need to be very friendly. Persons with disability are already going through a lot of pain and a lot of issues. They need care, they need support, they need all the care they can get. So they need you while you're trying to get the data, from them, to make sure that you definitely care about them. So they need that care. Another skill that comes to mind for me, I would say, is, how do I put it? Operating with discipline, like following through. So you need to be able to follow through when you want to gather the data, because you will ask questions and they will probably, not answer you. And that's where, again, communication skill comes in, because you'll probably have a window that is kind of closed and you need to be able to fill in that gap, to be able to, open up that window a bit more so that they can talk to you very freely and give you the information that you need. So if I've said three things, it's basically regular selling skills. So you need to be able to sell. The second thing is you need communication skills, which is very important. You also need to be able to follow through. And I said, when you think of the kind of attitude you bring to the table, you need to be able to empathize and you need to be friendly, and because people are going to also be working together as a team, it's important to also have, the team spirit and be able to work together, collaboration skills, basically.
Last question for me, and then I'll throw it open for the rest of people to ask questions. There's social distancing at the moment, and we want to gather data and stories of people. How do we manage this in a sensible way, so that we're not putting ourselves at risk in the process of gathering data?
Okay, so what comes to mind for me is two things. The first one is, that's the importance of technology and why we need to be able to make use of technology and use technology as a tool to work for us. So for as many people with disabilities that we can reach, and they have access to technology and we can collaborate. Just like we're having this meeting right now, we definitely can use that as a medium. And when you start thinking of people meeting people personally or physically because they have to have meetings, then you need to put all the guidelines that WHO has put in place for you. You need to have your nose mask on, you need to have your hand sanitizers, you need to keep distance, so talking about being empathy and all of that, because already if you're keeping your distance from someone and you're still, showing, being friendly and all of that, then you will not be able to have the right communication So I'll say two things: technology, which is our biggest tool, as much as we can gather through people, then you need to ensure that you have the guidelines, the WHO guidelines in place for you to be able to get that done.
So that's it from me, Fiona. I think I've asked. It was going to be more of asking than saying for me. I know the foundation. I've been part of Out on a Limb a couple of times. I enjoy their work. I know the impact that they're currently having. I know the impact that the data gathering can have on the community. I know the impact that it can also have on the young people who may be taking part in the challenge. And because of that, I think that's why we reached the agreement to have this as our first challenge. But yeah, those are the questions from me.
Okay. So everyone else who has questions, start writing them on the chat box, and then Wamboga will take them up. So while people are doing that, I have one question for you, Qiesto. It's not really a question. I'd like your comments on it. We had one person who was actually a person with disabilities who wanted to take part in the challenge. So how different would his what's it called? How different would his experience be as a person who's actually the one taking part compared to the other people? What are your thoughts on that?
I think firstly, and I remember when Qiesto was coming up with the questions and we're relating on the question, one of the very clear things that you would do is to say whether you're a person with disability yourself, and whether you're a caregiver or you're just someone that is just participating. I think as a person with disability, the first thing that it does for the person is the fact that I can participate. I'm not marginalized because I have a disability. And I think that's absolutely amazing. The disability is not keeping the person outside of being a part of the challenge. That is super. It's going to boost the person's confidence. It's going to help the person's, and it's already beginning to give us the kind of results we hope to get when we finally, get the data that we're putting together. The second thing that I think it will do is it's going to be a really rich perspective, because the person is going to put all of his or herself into it and tell you exactly the way it is, because they're feeling the pain, right, themselves. The questions that we are asking is the life that they live on a daily basis, so they'll be able to put that real time into it. And there's nothing like that has experienced something. So for every time someone comes to the foundation to spend some time with me to talk, I see that it's different when they are talking to me, when the parents are, talking to me, because they feel like I understand exactly what it is they are going through, versus when they are talking with someone else that doesn't have a disability or does not have a child with disability. So those are probably the two biggest things that I think would be the impact of that. And I think it will just help us have very rich data. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. There's no questions yet, so I'll still have another question for you. There's one, let's see. Oh, there's one question. Due to social distancing and ability to compile the data, can arrange to focus on the content. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm trying to understand the question. Due to social distancing and the ability to compile data.
Maybe Dorcas, maybe you can unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah. Dorcas, ask the question. Unmute first. Double click on your screen and then the microphone will come up.
Fiona, maybe you are okay.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Okay. I think. Good afternoon.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Thanks so much, Ma, for the talk you had now. I would like to ask, someone said something about social distancing, and you've actually said a lot as regards maybe an option of online, but due to the environment I'm currently in, online meetings might not really work out well due to the fact that many of them don't make use of Android phone. So I would have to be visiting them one after the other. I've been able to get a range of data, but I would like to ask, due to the data we plan to get, like, can we get a clearer view of the quantity of people that we can reach out to?
Well, I think that's a question for Femi.
So what I'd say is reach out to as many as you can reach out to. I don't want to give you a limit and say, oh, reach out to 5 or reach out to 6 or 7. Because if I do that, if someone is in proximity to lots of people, I think the more data we can gather, the better for sure. Because the more people we speak to, the more the variety of the experiences that we get, and so the richness of the analysis that can be done out of the data. But you as a person, reach as many as you can reach out.
Thank you very much.
I hope that answers it.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I would like to ask another one. We are looking at the COVID, the current pandemic. So how soon will the result as regards the data gathered will be implemented? Like, many of them before giving out their data, many of them would ask, and I'm very sure, like, they will ask, oh, what's up? When are we going to get a response that would actually be of help to their current need?
So I can partly answer that.
Okay.
Crystal can partly answer that.
Okay.
We're not promising that everybody that gives in data, then we're going to tomorrow come with a specific support for them. And it'd be important for us not to make that promise. Because what we're going to do is, if we're going to argue with government officials or local government or the people that have access to money, that there is need to have special support for people with disability, what they are going to ask you is, what is your proof or evidence that they need something over and beyond what we're doing for everybody else? The point of the data is to improve that argument. But it's not going to be that based on that, they will say, okay, who are all the people that gave you their data? Can we give something to them? We can't make that promise. And I hope that's not what we're telling to the people. We're going to try and make sure that the data is analyzed pretty quickly. The input is turned into something that can be used for argument pretty quickly, and that we can engage with the people that are decision makers as soon as possible using that data. However, we can't give any guarantees on what they will say. You know how it is. You know how it is with government officials and even donors. They have a mind of their own. But if we have the data to make the argument, then it makes our case stronger to get support for people with disability. Crystal, I don't know if you want.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you, Femi. But in addition to that also, we have a lot of stakeholders that will be using the data. Currently, there are disability communities that can reach out to persons with disabilities. And what this data will do for them is enrich their decision-making process and help them also know the kind of support that they need to make available. So no promises on time, but we believe that it's definitely going to change, the outlook on disabilities in general. In addition to that also, one of the biggest challenges that we have is stigmatization and discrimination when it comes to persons with disabilities. This begins to put in light of the possibilities of these persons and how they can contribute also to the society, and the society can contribute to them.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dorcas. Is there any other question?
Any other question?
Okay. There's a question that had been asked in terms, I think, on email this week by someone. This is to Qiesto. Someone was asking about the languages and how they can apply in terms of when they're doing the interviews and the assessments. Is language a barrier or not? I know the answer, but I just want you to answer it so that everyone can know the answer to that.
Okay, language is definitely not a barrier, as far as I'm concerned. If you, one of the things that I think Qiesto has done very well is to make this available both in English and in French. The majority of the people that we have in Africa speak majorly these two languages, and all the conversations, the tweets on social media, the videos, and everything as much as possible, Qiesto has tried to transcribe and ensure that it's reaching out to everyone. So I don't think language is a barrier at all.
Okay, may I talk, Fiona?
Sorry, can I add to that, the answer to that question? If what we've also made provisions for is if you have to interview someone who doesn't even speak English or French, if the person only speaks Swahili or Yoruba or Lingala, record the interview in that language. What you just need to do for us is subtitle it or translate it into English or French. But feel free to record the interviews or collect the data in whichever language people you're speaking to are comfortable with.
Oh, okay. May I talk, Fiona?
Okay.
Because there are two questions or the chat. First from Yesyun and then from Ugochukwu. The first one is, what should the data contain specifically? Like the first question, the person asking the question wants to get the exact gist of what they should present to get a proper results, so that they may be able to stand a chance with the prize. And then there's another one from Ugo. They are asking to offer a gift or reward to the interviewee, if Qiesto and maybe Irede Foundation may allow.
This is a question to, I think, Femi.
Yeah.
So the question on what the data should contain, I think you will need to, so there are two parts. First, you need to go visit the site for the challenge. And I've just shared a shortened link in the chat, so go into that. And then on that site, you will find a link to the survey questions. It's the survey questions that you would administer with the people that you reach out to. So you're not cooking up the questions as you go. You just either print a copy of that survey question or open the survey on your phone. Go to the website on your phone and ask them the questions that are in that survey. And as they're answering, if they can fill it in themselves, better. If they can't, as they're answering the questions to you, you're filling it in. And then the second part, beyond the survey questions, we then also want, if you can record either a video of picture or take a picture if they give you permission. And while you're doing that, you're asking them a series of short questions, which we hope they can answer in maximum 90 seconds. So 1 minute and 30 seconds to 2 minutes max. And in those questions, some things we want them, if they can then express themselves in terms of how they're experiencing the whole COVID-19 challenge. And if they had a message to decision makers, what would that message be? so that we don't just want it to be data collected by the questionnaire. We also want some rich media, because we know there's room for that too. Because it's possible when you go to make the arguments that people say, how do we know that the surveys that you filled are actually filled by people with disability? But if we can back it up with videos, with visuals, then it makes it more real and a richer output that we can then share. I hope that answers that question. On the question of gifts or rewards to the interviewee, we don't want to expect that we will induce people to fill the form by giving them something. If you choose to give them something as charity, that's up to you, and I won't say no. However, I don't expect that you have to bribe someone for them to agree to fill the form for you. Krista, I don't know if you want to add, or if that answers it.
No, I agree with you. And then in addition to that, why the first question you had asked about what skills do the young people need to have. That's why selling skills is very important. So that also you can be able to help them see the value that is in them giving answers to the questionnaire.
Is there another question, Ombuga? You're muted. We can't hear you. You're muted.
Like I say, people are very wary of data they give to organizations. So they're asking whether the Irede Foundation or maybe Qiesto will use the video of the data they submit for any other purpose. And then to add to that, maybe I'd ask, is there any limit to the number of people any person interested in participating in the challenge should interview?
So I think I answered that second question already before when Dorcas asked. There is no limit.
Okay.
Crystal, the first question. What will the videos be used for? Crystal, do you want to answer the first question? Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. So for us, as we gather the data, we're going to do analysis of the data and see how to use it to improve the lives of persons with disabilities by engaging with the government, engaging with different stakeholders. And that's why we actually asked your consent, ask the consent of the people before even getting to take their video or they even participating in the program at all. So we want to say we will definitely guide the data very well, guide it and ensure that we use it just for this purpose. Policies are coming up with using it as supporting documents for regular relevant stakeholders on improving the life of persons with disabilities. I think Femi already answered saying, I mean, you can engage with as many persons with disabilities as possible. Also, with as many people as you can, please feel free, because the more people we have giving answers to these questions, the better for us, because it will be a wider pool working with than just a few.
Okay, any other question, Wamboga?
There are no more questions asked by the listeners. Okay. Maybe, I don't think there are any more.
Okay, so we have a few more minutes left. Let me see, what other questions there? Yeah, There's no other question as far as I know.
Maybe if I may ask, there's a cash prize offered for the challenge by maybe the breakdown on how Qiesto intends to share it, or maybe how well should somebody perform so that they qualify for the prize?
Okay, that's to you, Femi.
So in terms of the cash prize, and I think it's important to clarify this. In many ways, the work that's happening on this challenge is we want to make sure that it's rewarding for as many people as possible. That said, there are two levels of rewards in terms of participating in the challenge. For the broader group, for the larger crowds that work on the challenge, and everybody who puts in enough effort to get to a certain quality threshold in terms of the quantity and quality of output that they're submitted, we want your work on the challenge to be something that you can add to your resume, speaking to the skills that you use in delivering this challenge. We've also gone ahead to add an additional financial incentive. However, unfortunately, again, it's a charity, it's an NGO that is pushing this challenge forward. And the actual objective of this challenge is more philanthropic than it is commercial. However, so because of that, we've decided we'll still put a prize of $500 set aside for the 20 people that's based on the output that we get from the challenge. We judge to have put in the best in terms of effort to give us quantitative and qualitative output to the challenge. So people who go out of their way to reach as many people as possible, who come back with quality output in terms of the videos that they get or the data that they gather, a combination of that will be used to determine who the top 20 will be. So all challenges that are submitted, everyone who's registered for the challenge will be ranked from top to the end. And then the people who make it into that top 20 will then get a share of the $500. At the moment, that share is going to be equal. For future challenges we run as Qiesto, some of it, the prizes may be more than this prize, particularly when we're running challenges for commercial organizations. For some challenges in the future, the distribution may not be equal. We may say the top 5 will get more than the next 10, which will get more than the next 10 after that. But for this challenge, we've decided to use one flat amount for the people who make it into the top 20. And we're going to assess that top 20 based on quantity and quality of output that's received. Does that answer your question? If there are no other questions,
yes, it does.
Yes, it's 3 p.m.
Yes, so we are done. No other questions at all? Thank you for attending. Thank you very much. It's been me, Fiona, and Femi, and Wamboga, and Crystal, and everyone else.
Maybe we should get a final word from Crystal.
Yes, final word from Crystal.
Okay, I thank you so much, Fiona and Femi and Wamboga. It's been an amazing afternoon, and really I get very excited when I have to share the Irede story. I just want everyone listening to me to know that there is ability in disability, and as much as possible, whatever you can do to ensure that persons with disabilities are not stigmatized against, that would be very, very, very rewarding, and it's going to be a good thing to do. In addition to that, for the young people, I think it's a good opportunity for you to build amazing skills. We've talked about some of the skills or selling skills, or it's a opportunity that Qiesto is giving you to be able to build on skills, because it definitely will prepare you for the future. Right? Thank you.
And I guess last word from me. Yes, we did.
Did you hear me?
And I guess last word from me is, I guess it's an opportunity. There's a question that somebody asked, which we didn't actually get an answer for, and I just remembered, and maybe useful to bring it up. Crystal, if someone wanted to volunteer with Irede Foundation, how do they go about that?
Today, when you want to volunteer, just go to our website, go to volunteer. We have a link there where you fill in your you. We have opportunities in programs, communication, I mean, in every department. So it doesn't matter what you do, whether it's finance, you definitely will find a place to be a part of the organization and how you can support. Our volunteering opportunities, we're able to track the number of hours that you give into the work that you do, and then usually at the end of the year, we'll make recognition available for you for that, for the number of hours or time or that you put into it. Yeah, and I'm sure that some volunteers, depending on what it is, you can work from anywhere around the world to be a part of what we're doing.
And I guess to segue from that,
so just go to the Irede Foundation.
Yep. TheIredeFoundation.org.
What did you say, Sam?
It's TheIredeFoundation.org.
The Irede Foundation. Yes. And then just go to volunteers and.
Yeah, I guess so. My last words will continue from where you stopped, Crystal. In many ways, the Disability and COVID-19 Challenge is an opportunity for you to volunteer for this organization from wherever you are in Africa. The process, the work that you're doing with helping to gather data and those stories is part of your volunteering. And what we're doing as Qiesto is finding a way in which you can actually quantify and mention the skills that you've used for that process as part of your resume. So even if the reward doesn't seem like it's immediate, it's part of a process that if you stick with, we're certain will be useful for you in helping you get the next place you want to get to in your career. So on the back of that, I'll just say thank you so much for joining the call. And I look forward to seeing all the amazing entries that we're going to submit. And just to remember that the challenge itself closes on the 26th. So the sooner you can get on it, the better. Thank you very much from me.
Okay, thank you, everyone. If you need us to send you an email because you haven't gotten any from us, just drop your email on the chat box if we don't have your email yet. Yes, thank you. We have recorded this, so it will be up on YouTube and everywhere else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great seeing you, Debo.
Well done, Crystal.